U.S. consumer confidence fell for the fifth straight month, hitting its lowest level since May of 2020. And this comes as a new Lending Tree survey shows some pretty eye-opening numbers. Look at this. 25% of Americans who have buy now, pay later loans are using them to help afford groceries. And that number is up from 14%. You're also looking at another number on your screen. 41% of those customers admit to making a late payment on a loan in the past year. That number is up from 34% the year prior.
You know, this is just never going to get any better. It just really isn't. It feels like times right now is extremely... You know, I'm not surprised by what I just saw. Are you? Are anyone right now extremely surprised about the fact that people are now starting to use buy now, pay later in order to get groceries? It just gets to a point where these corporations are not giving you fair wages. The price of everything is going up. Groceries, gas, eggs, everything, man. I mean, breathing, everything is getting so expensive, but nothing is changing, right? We all thought, especially me, man, I thought back in the days, like, well, you know, if you work hard and, you know, you get the pay raises and that's going to be able to, to get you above inflation and get you, through these times, but it's not. You know, I recently did a video and it's just my thought process about all this right now is a lot of corporations now are used to us just being underpaid because the solution to most of us is to pick up a side gig or pick up a side hustle to supplement what they should be giving us. But we all know the main problem is the main income coming from our primary jobs are just not enough. Now it gets to a point where people are using the buy now, pay later for the groceries. And what's really scary about it is it seems like a very good option, right? For easy payments, no interest. That's better than having to ask your family member for money or asking your friend for money or using a payday loan. That's a better option. But the problem is, man, you're just making a situation even worse. And sometimes, which is why I don't blame so many people using it, you're not thinking about tomorrow. You're thinking about today. You're thinking about how I'm going to get food on the table today. Tomorrow or my next paycheck, that's for the future. But right now, people are just trying to survive right now during these times. That's it. And that's why I feel horrible about this current situation the economy is going through. Because what we're seeing is people are expecting this presidency, this administration to fix these issues. They're not. All we're hearing is them saying, well, this is not my issue, this was Biden's issue. Who cares? You are now in office. What are you going to do to make things better for people these times? You know, a lot of people voted for Trump for one reason. He's the Mr. Fix-It. He is the art of the deal. He could fix everything that's going on right now. But as we're seeing, and as I knew, one man or one administration within a few months is not going to be able to fix this. Right now, some could argue that he's making the situation worse with the tariffs, which, I mean, it's not really an argument. It is the truth. Tariffs cause the price of goods to go up and eventually to be more expensive for us. But it gets to a point where it's like something has to give here. You know, that's why we just need to take full responsibility ourselves. And we cannot just rely on the government to bail us out. We have to just find ways within our own household to take care of our finances to get through during these times. Because the GDP did go down, right? And that's scary. But remember, that's not this time's GDP. That was a few quarters ago. Right now, with the tariffs and everything going in place, when it comes down to the GDP for this quarter, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good at all.
For more on all of this, I'm joined by Nathan Bomey. He's a business reporter for Axios, joining us from Washington. Nathan, good morning to you. Let's start with the Consumer Confidence Index. We can assume, but help us understand why we're seeing those numbers drop these days.
Well, I think the consumer is seeing all the headlines and they're concerned. I mean, for example, you look at the stock market volatility early this year, 62% of Americans own stocks. So this is not just something for upper income folks. Most people have some sort of equity in the stock market. And so when they see their 401k going down, they know that that means that maybe their retirement's a little bit far off and that can affect their confidence. So I think that's one big thing.
That's a huge thing, right? Now, I want to say this because I've done videos about this before. And there's a huge majority of people out there, and I've seen this, where they want the market to crash. Some people don't believe in investing because, let's be quite honest, like no one fully has trust in the market, but you know the way to build wealth is by investing, and you get it by owning stocks, index funds, And to some people, it seems imaginary and as if this is a game. But it's not a game, it's a reality. For a lot of people, this is the money they need to retire. So right now, when you're seeing all the headlines with the tariffs and the headlines with everything being so damn expensive, of course the consumer confidence is going to go down. All of our confidence is going down when all we're seeing is this negative YouTube videos where everyone's saying sell, sell, sell. And the news are continually pushing this negative narrative. But this is the thing about the news that I want people to recognize. Everything they're saying in the news is not 100% honest. Surprise. But they're not being as honest as far as how bad the situation is. Because them as well, the media, is responsible for our consumer confidence. If they continue to say how negative things are, then we as a consumer are going to freak out even more. And then we're not going to go out there making all the purchases that we want to do, acting like everything is great. That's why the consumer confidence is so low, because everything out here, guys, is so negative. But to be honest with you, it's the reality of the situation. We are smartening up as well, which is a good thing, right? If you're not that confident in the market, then that's going to cause you to say, I'm not going to go on this vacation. I'm not going to go keep on chasing to buy this house. I'm going to, at my house, hunker down and save and build my emergency fund and keep on investing, but smartly and strategically. But in the same time, I'm going to just increase my emergency, my reserves, and just make sure I am protected. That's what's going on. No one's going on vacations. No one's going out spending, splurging. They're not doing it. They're just not, because we're seeing how bad the economy is. It's extremely bad, and people don't want to admit it because we want to be naive or we don't want to face reality. But right now, things are really bad for a lot of families out there. Like, listen, I'm feeling it myself. I'm not paycheck to paycheck. I'm doing pretty well. I want to do better. I'm doing pretty well. But I know if I was still paycheck to paycheck like I was years and years ago, during these times, I would certainly be struggling. So that's why I feel for anyone right now who is currently going through the paycheck to paycheck living, that has to be extremely, extremely difficult.
And then the tariffs that have of course caused a lot of that stock market volatility have inspired concerns about inflation. And people just got off of a few years of inflation, and they don't want to do that again.
And, for people who are fortunate enough to invest, that's the concern they're feeling. But this survey that we've just referenced is also a reason for alarm. More Americans using these buy now, pay later loans, which can offer carry interest. What do you make of that?
Yeah, this is becoming increasingly popular. This is basically where you are at the cash register and they offer you the chance to buy now and pay later, exactly what it says. And so, that started with some big ticket purchases, and that wasn't dissimilar to maybe taking a loan out on your credit card. But now it's spread into other things. So, for example, just a few weeks ago, DoorDash added buy now, pay later. So you can actually buy now, pay later for your takeout, your delivery. And so it's getting into other aspects of life. And when people are putting off purchases, it adds to this quote unquote hidden debt, which can ultimately create a more stressed consumer.
That is very true. That's the conversation people have a lot now, which is the whole phantom debt when it comes to buy now, pay later, because they don't report to the credit bureau. So that's a bad thing as well. If you're using the services, is you are not going to get better credit because of it. So even though you're doing the responsible thing and you're paying it back, you're not going to get rewarded for it. But at the same time, if you do have some defaults or you do carrying so much of this debt, it's not being reported. So no one really knows how much debt you're actually carrying. But now we have services like the buy now, pay later. Now it looks like people doing surveys because, these companies, Klarna, Afterpay, they have some numbers to show exactly how consumers are spending their money. And these surveys is one way for us to get a glimpse. But as we know, the reality is, because I've never been surveyed in my life, I have no idea who these people are who they surveyed. But with that being said, we know the reality is so many people are using this service. And it just started out as like you just go ahead and you just buy a few things online, right? Like you want to buy some clothes or you're trying to buy some sneakers. It started with a few things like that. Now it's permeating to necessities, right? No, this isn't just luxuries. This is necessities. This isn't just wants. This is needs. Now people are starting to use money, buy now, pay later, for groceries. And they're defaulting on that, right? And that's why when you sit down, you do a budget, right? This is a highly recommend for people to do. I always tell people in my videos is you make sure the essentials are covered, right? Your groceries, your rent, your mortgage, your living expenses, your utilities. you have a car, make sure you have insurance on it so you can drive, and gas. That's it. The rest of the stuff, if you have all this credit card debt and student loans, you have to call them, negotiate. That could get pushed to the side. But living is your number one objective. Survival is your number one objective. If you cannot maintain the few things I sell on that list, right, and one of them is groceries, and you can't even pay that with the income you're getting now, then we have a big problem. And that's the issue we're having in this country is wages is just not enough. Wages are just not enough. And it's causing people to have to learn how to pivot and be extremely strategic during these times because wages is not enough. And the corporations, they don't care, right? When expenses for corporations gets really difficult, then the first thing they're gonna do is to start laying people off. They're not gonna cut prices to make things better for us consumers. They're gonna start laying people off. Because right now they're taking advantage of the fact of they're making so much money with the price of everything being so high. And of course, they're gonna hide behind the fact of it's tariffs. It's tariffs in order for them to get away with having the prices extremely high as it is now. Guys, drop a comment down below. You let me know what you think about everything currently going on in the economy. Because as you see, I'm really worried. The whole buy now, pay later, it's going to get uglier. And I'm afraid some of these predatory loans are going to start permeating in the market. And now people are going to start using payday loans or some other type of personal loans out there that's just going to get ugly. Because I remember a time when buy now, pay later wasn't with groceries. But who knows, right? People right now struggling with utilities. There might be some companies out there that will just give you a personal loan and you just probably putting up your paycheck for collateral or something up for collateral in order to cover it. And then you already know how that works. The interest rates are going to be so high, people are going to struggle and put themselves in a worse situation. Well, anyway, guys, drop a comment down below and let me know how you feel and what you're doing during these times in the economy. Catch you guys on my next video. Peace.